What's up, guys? All right, so new format today. I got a new Adobe suite. I like this Sparks thing. It's pretty cool. So this will be the new format until we change it again. Much better than Evernote, in my opinion. All right, so today we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. We're going to talk about how shitty the market's been, with how Reddit's been. We're going to talk about what can we expect going forward. Lots of news came out over the weekend about House passing stimulus. We're going to talk about Lucid Motors and that fiasco. We're going to talk a SPAC sale. I think SPACs really died out this week, and that there's a lot of really good opportunities this week. And then my watch list going into March. So if anyone has any questions before we get going, I'm going to get going. All right. So on Tuesday, we had Chairman Powell talk. He talked in front of the Senate, the Congress, about inflation, about stimulus. Actually, he said he wasn't going to talk about stimulus. He wouldn't comment if it was a good idea or not. But ultimately, he said people getting vaccinated is the key to recovery. We finally eclipsed 5 million vaccinated here in the U.S., so we got a long-ass way to go. Got some good news with Johnson & Johnson over the weekend. They announced a one-shot vaccine. I believe it has like a 73% take rate, which isn't bad. Not as good as Pfizer or Moderna's high 90%, but that's the 2 doses and all that good stuff. So I'm not going to read this to you, but it's for you guys to go back over and offline. But the basicness of the talks were, or this red market is, how we talked about the Treasury notes before, how we're seeing that yield curve dip down again, and we're getting really low. We got really low interest rates. I mean, they're the lowest they've been ever, 20, 30 years. Can we expect the interest rates to go back up a little bit? Yeah, I think they will eventually. But Powell made note of, that they're pretty locked in right now until 2022. That's something to think about in the near future. But I think what we need to get through here as a market as a whole is stimulus will be nice. Just the redness of the market, I think, will rebound with Johnson & Johnson, and I think that they'll rebound a little bit with a stimulus pass, which they did talk about over the weekend. They did talk about there's like 14 days until they wanted to get it on Biden's desk. And March 14th is the set date that they wanted to have that on his desk. So we got a little bit of time. Are we going to see, bigger dips come Monday morning? I don't know. I really don't. And I can't predict that. But I will go over SPY here in a little bit and kind of see what I'm seeing. But the 2 pieces of news, of Johnson & Johnson and stimulus getting passed through the House will definitely help sentiment in the market and give people a little bit more certainty or comfort, I guess you could say. So I just wanted to talk about this. If anyone's got any comments on this, I think we are in some pretty nerve-wracking times. I mean, the last 2 weeks we've seen a lot of red. I've seen a lot of gains personally go away, but I'm still holding tight just because I don't think they're going to let it go. Will we see a retest of current support of around the 380, 378 mark is what I have it at? Possibly. But are we ultimately playing to what's the word I want to look for? Is this going to be ultimately a band-aid of a much bigger issue that we're going to have to face here in the near future? I mean, are we going to go to 410, 420? Blaze it, but and then see a bigger correction, back down to 380 again. It's just a lot of it's up in the air. And we're starting to see these small growth companies, suffer from this. I mean, interest rates correlates directly involved with that. I mean, having a higher interest rates opens up other avenues of investments, real estate and commodities and just other things. So we might see a little bit of a taper on small growth companies just because they have been, going crazy lately. This is, we're still in the midst of a pandemic. We're still hurting as a world, and our stock market is doing the best it's ever been. One of these things is not like the other, I guess, is what I would comment on. So Monday's going to be a really interesting day. I think we get a green day just because we need one. Just with the little bit of news that we did get, Powell did down talk the inflation rumors. I mean, a lot of people are worried about hyperinflation, and the case study to really talk about hyperinflation is Germany. We could probably work on that in future episodes, but I'm just gonna talk about this stuff. Let's see. This isn't what I wanted. See, this is what happens when you don't do a trial run. When you're trying to record something, you just mess it all up. It's all good. One thing I do want to talk about is just because we're in a red market doesn't mean we can't make money. And what I did this week that made me some pretty good money. So we talked about buying and writing covered calls a couple weeks ago. I believe a few people had some insight on that, but I actually did it this week actually for the first time. I don't know why I've never done it before, because it is a very, very awesome thing that you can do when you own shares to collect premium and buy bottoms, take profit, and amongst other things. So basically, I'll run it down what I did. Just as an example, I think it was a really strong move for me. I had, I think I have 500 shares of FRSX going into the week. I'm long-term bullish on this company. I think the autonomous factor, the AI that they have, the cash on hand is pretty good. And they're just one of those disruptors. And we talk about disruptive companies all the time. So I wasn't sure come Monday morning what the price was going to do. I really didn't. I knew we had a bunch of red coming. And I also realized I didn't have enough FRSX. I really wanted to load up. Just because with the shelf offering and amongst other things, they have a very bullish outlook. So I decided I wanted to buy to write covered calls. And so I spent $8,500 on 1,000 shares. But I wasn't sure if this was going to be the bottom. So when I when I sold the calls, I collected $1,500 in premium, which was kind of cool to actually get money like that. And I was able to then wait a couple of days, and when it was in like the 680s or something like that, I ended up buying with that premium. So you could see on the screen, I bought 1,206 shares. And if you take the premium out of it, I bought it for the original price, which made my average price $7.03. So the only downside to this is if, the market does pick back up and say it goes to like $14, $15 and someone wants to exercise those option calls, and then I'd have to sell them, at $10, which would be a bummer, but, I still made $1,500 plus the premium, and I still have 206 free shares that I could ride out. I don't think enough people talk about this. I know it kind of sounds a little, advanced, but I really don't think it is. I think it's very basic. And I think that we as a group need to do a better job of, personally for our portfolios, to see all these other trading philosophies or trading fundamentals, because everyone on Twitter and everyone out in social media talks about naked calls. People are always buying and losing money on calls. It's the biggest gamble there is out there. But why don't we sell contracts? Because that's what we're doing. We're selling them those contracts, and so when those expire to nothing, we didn't make crazy money, but we made some money in a stagnant market. So I think the 3 best times to really use that is going to be entering when you're not sure, because if we're not sure that the price is going to go up from the minute we hit buy, it gives us an opportunity to get shares at a lower rate. So taking profit is another one. When the volatility is really high, option prices are, ballooned, not necessarily correlated with, the VIX like we've talked about, but when they're just correlated, when it's running like crazy, selling covered calls, close to in the money, or, even farther out, we can take advantage of the premium being higher and the dips and everything. And we can keep all the same shares that we had, so we can slowly accumulate. And so I think that's something that I'm going to be personally doing with Ideanomics more and Foresight, because they both have options. But my other 2 longs of Sonam's technology and Ely's or Ellis, they don't have options yet, so I can't do that on there. I just got to stand where I am. So taking profits, when it's in a red market, when you don't want to give up a position, you haven't held it for 30 days, so you can't sell at a loss unless you want to have a wash sale, which will only hurt you, because I think we all change stocks way too quick, myself included. And then we can also use it when you see GameStop go off and the VIX goes like crazy. So we can just take advantage of ballooned premium prices. You can sell really far out of the money ones if you're like afraid that maybe it will take off and exercise at your call price, or you can just sell ones that will probably never get in the money in this month time frame. I was thinking there's other applications of it in companies that you're really bullish on. Like, for instance, I'm really bullish on Liquidia Technologies and what they're doing, but they've been chilling around $3 for months, up and down, up and down. They've had a lawsuit, but at the end of the day, they do nanotechnology for making drugs. Like when they test out their drugs, they test better than because of how a cell absorbs it. They take already approved drugs and use their system to make them better, basically. But I don't see a lot of movement in the next couple of months out of them, just because we are waiting for the courts and we are waiting for their other pipeline drugs to go through. So it's probably just going to sit around here. And why not buy to write covered calls and take a little bit of that premium back, have them pay you to buy these shares, essentially, and then buy more, buy something else. Because I was looking, I think it's really been how do I want to word this? The way I think a lot of traders are, taught via learning or observing through other Twitter traders and stuff like that, is to not hold. And just for an example, Beam Technologies, right? They're a solar EV play. They basically connect EV chargers to solar to basically give away free energy. Pretty cool business model. They've been as high as 71, and they're currently like 40. But I own them at 13. I owned 1,000 shares at 13, and I ended up, selling for a modest gain. I don't think it was 100%, but it was probably, like 60, 70%. I'd have to look. But just looking at the covered calls that I could have sold this week, I could have made about 10% of what that was worth. I could have made $5,000. Essentially, that could have paid for another swing opportunity. That could have paid for a lot of different things. And I think holding these, like Ideanomics, like it's $3 right now. I have like 35,000 shares altogether. And if they do end up making it to $15 to $20 or, $40, $50, like I do, I think they will, this year, next year, just imagine the side income you can get from selling covered calls. You get about, 7 to 10% on the month, depending on when you sell them on your total holding. I mean, that's good money. You have to pay taxes on that income, but it just gives you more fuel to buy more shares, pay yourself, buy something nice. It's just a good practice, I think. And I'm going to continue to talk about what I do in this, and I hope that people start to not necessarily follow, but start to look into it more and see how good of a money opportunity this is. I mean, we're all trying to hit home runs, but why don't we just get doubles over and over and over again? I mean, slow, consistent gains in our portfolios add up over time. And so I just wanted to share this trading experience with you, just because this was, it was a light clicked on for me, and I don't know why I haven't been doing it sooner. So if anyone's got any questions about this or doesn't understand.
Yeah, Rick.
Yeah, go for it, man.
I wanted to mention, I was a part of a server around this time last year, and that's exactly what they were doing. They were going into insurance companies and selling these covered calls. It's really interesting, and like you said, you described it exactly how the owner of the other server did, and it's not about getting the 100% gains. It's about getting the 7% gain over and over and over again.
Right. I mean, if you take $2,500 and you make 2% every day, or every trading day that you have, you make over $1 million. I mean, compounding adds up over time. And I just think a lot of us are uneducated. So am I. Like I've dedicated myself to learning this practice and learning something new every day. And this seems like too easy. I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen? The market crashes. You can still sell your shares, and then go ahead.
But the risky thing about that is you might end up having to, in a freak situation, if you take too much risk, you might have to buy, I think, 100 of those shares. You're like forced to buy them.
I mean, if you run a covered call, no, because you own the shares. But if they want to exercise that contract and you don't have it, then you are forced to buy. So those are like selling naked call options. This is a covered call. Covered call is like you have the equity. You have the stuff they want. You have the shares. But you can sell naked ones as well.
Right? You're just
pretty much. My bad.
No, I'm just gonna say, is that the difference? Or you're just say like you're just kind of pimping out the shares you already own?
Yeah, exactly. I already have equity, and I've realized that at the end of the day, I do better buying and selling equity than I do options. I mean, I'm not terrible at options. I have a pretty decent win record, but it's never like parabolic. Like I've only been on so many 1,000% runners, and that doesn't happen very often. It's probably been a couple months since I've made 1,000% on an option contract. But to be able to get 8% of my equity holdings every month, or even larger if you want to go further out, and just sell these options to people. And the worst, you set your profits. And I read around, and there's not a specific percentage that people get, exercise rates, but from what I've gathered and from people I've talked to, maybe 5 to 10% of the time will they ever exercise these shares. And so even if it does go in the money, they'll still just sell the contract and it'll expire worthless. So, for instance, my FRSX calls, they could finish March 19th at $12. And unless someone has $12,000 to exercise this contract, which a lot of people who play naked options, I don't think have that money, Especially if you go into like, if you did it like say with Neo, who's got, if I had 1,000 shares of Neo at 50, I mean, who's got $50,000 to buy, 1,000 shares when, it's finished $3 in the money. I mean, they made that $3 of profit. I mean, it's not, that's not that good of a deal for them. So there's a lot of times where you just retain them anyways. The mass majority of the time you retain them. I think a lot of people, including myself, was scared of like, oh, what if I don't want to lose these shares if it goes to 12, but there's still like a majority chance that they won't get called away. It doesn't happen all the time like that, but it's still, everyone says, everything I've read says it's not very, it's very rare. So that makes it even more of a better option than naked call options. I mean, selling them.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. It is the safer route. And again, I think another big point is just separating ourselves from these Twitter traders. That's like, we'll just take another step and try something new, learn something new, learn how the game's truly played.
Absolutely. And that's something that, being contrarian, like how I say, like be there before the money, don't follow hype, don't FOMO, do your own DD, research these things. And that goes for trading as well, like learning different things. Like there's also cash secured puts, which is just the same thing. You're just saying the opposite of a covered call is, you have to use cash for these, but like you're saying that I don't think it's going to get below this price. And it could be way out of the money. You can do it for, months at a time and you'll collect that premium right off the bat, but you have to have, a margin account and obviously it can go bad, but it's just another, another hedge against your position possibly, or just another opportunity to collect premium or, make some side income while you're waiting for a green day, a green market. And we could talk about cash secured puts, once I see an opportunity and I do one, I'll do the same thing I did with here and kind of try to explain it and how I did it and why I did it, the rationality behind it. And yeah, just leave it open to questions for anyone, or if people want to do like a talk about it. Because like I know last time I talked about like the Delta, the Greeks, and that's all fine and dandy, but until you see a real life situation on why I did something or somebody did something, it's different, I guess. For me, it is. It's how I learn better. So, anyone have any comments on this before I move on?
Yeah, I had a question about the cash secured puts.
Let's do it.
So like if you're selling puts in something you want to own, like is there any other downside? Because like the only other downside is that collaterals that you put out there, you're gonna have to use it and buy those shares. But if you want more shares of that company, like are there any other downside risks in cash secured puts?
I don't really think so, other than having to like lock up your capital because it's off a margin account. So you have to leverage what you have.
I thought if you just had buying power, you could do it. Because I'm doing it on a cash account on Webull.
Are you? Okay. Well, I guess I have a margin account on TD. So when I was like going through it, I guess it's a little bit different. But I guess I'll look into that. But I think during the duration of that contract, you have to have that secured. Like you can't go.
They lock up the cash. Yeah.
Right. So unlike call, if you have shares, I can sell my shares, but I'm still on the hook for the contract regardless. So I think a lot of that goes into when you write it as well. But with a cash account, which I don't have, I would have to look into that. That's a good question.
I have like a follow up on that.
Absolutely.
I recently just did that, but like, am I able to close it? Can I just buy the puts back and then
yes,
I also get my collateral back?
Yes, you will. You can still buy it back. So you would just go in the opposite side and like how you sold the puts. This time you just buy them, and then they should take right off your account because it says a little negative whatever on your account, right?
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's kind of the same thing as like covered, like the covered calls, just in the opposite way.
Yeah, it's the inverse.
Wow. Okay. No, that's pretty cool then, because I didn't realize you could just buy it back to close if like it runs up or something.
Yeah, it is really cool. And I thought about doing that with FRSX because it did fall like crazy. It went down to like 650 at some point, and I was like, well, I could buy more shares, or I could buy these contracts out for like 54 cents or something like that. And so, $500, and I still would have made $1,000, and I wouldn't have to worry about those contracts. But I held them. I just bought all shares, so we'll see how that works out for me. I think good. I don't see FRSX, going to $20 or $15, before March 19th. So I think I'll be okay. But worst case scenario, I made $1,500 on my original purchase, and I have 206 free shares that I get to play with.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay, so all right. Well, now that we did this, let's talk about SPY. The Fear and Greed Index, which is on CNN Money, it's a daily bookmark that I check probably 3-4 times a day, especially during like this kind of market when we're not sure. Right now, it's showing as neutral. But there's a lot of greed going on, and there's a lot of fear going on, so it kind of cancels each other out. So I think the call to puts options extreme fear right now, because it's flat, it's dead. People really don't know what's happening. Like I said earlier, with we're in the middle of a pandemic. Are we going to get crazy inflation? Are we, what's going on in the bond market? What's vaccines, stimulus? There's just so many question marks right now. And that has kind of laid a lot of uncertainty with investors. And that's why we've seen such a bad pullback, in my opinion. But if you look at this chart, and I charted this myself with a couple indicating tools, and I also used Tickeron, which is an AI trading bot that's really cool. It's super expensive to get the premium version, but it gives enough free stuff. And they had the resistance at 78.69 as the highest resistance level, which checked out all right, based on what I saw, based on different indicators that I used and who I talked to, because that's another option, is talking to your friends and people you trust. And so we're right on that highest resistance line. I think we closed right below 390 in the after hours, or 380, excuse me, in the after hours. If someone could confirm me on that with me, but I'm pretty sure. So the next level, though, is bad. The next support line is in 368. So that's a doozy of a fall, and I don't want to see that. I don't know what that's going to look like on my portfolio if that happens. But I don't think this is like a crash. I don't think that this is going to be like COVID, where things go down to 320, or I would have to do the retractments to see what that number would be, based on TA charting. But Bull Trends, who's someone I really talk to, and Blame Me over at King Street, I talk to quite a bit. They both see this as a hiccup. They both think that we're still headed towards the 400, and that Bull Trends has got a 440 PT of SPY. And I think I don't remember what Blame Me's was. So I think this is just a step back to two steps forward, hopefully. But like I said earlier, on Twitter, I think that this is going to be just a Band-Aid. I think stimulus is going to catapult us up if that gets passed. But I still think an overinflated market still needs to take a good size correction. A lot of people are saying March or April. Some people are saying this summer. I don't know when it's going to be. I'm still, looking and researching, and it's kind of a day-to-day thing based on, where rates go on a day-to basis. Can't forecast that, I guess. So I'm buying, I'm holding, and I'm buying personally. But I am making mental stop losses on things that I have held over 30 days that I am bullish on, that I am, have profits on, like my IDEX shares under $1. I do have a price in my head that, like, if it goes below this, I'm going to sell and buy the bottom, which it's like 242, I think is the arbitrary number I use. So if it gets to $242 or $2.42, I will probably sell because I think that it'll go below 2. It's just good to have a backup plan. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't want it to happen, but it's good to have a backup plan. So I attached the Fear to Greed link here, and I also have some additional reads. It actually we're talking about Bitcoin as well. Bitcoin is taking a setback as well after we saw Tesla and a few other companies buy. There's a lot of stink with that as well, and I think that just kind of correlates to this market almost. I know they don't correlate at all, but I think that it's just the air of the investment world, I guess you could say. But Grayscale, which is the hedge fund that bought $20 billion worth of Bitcoin, is not having the best results. But it's a good read for those who are invested in Bitcoin, which I don't think there's too many people in here that are. It's buy the dip, If Bitcoin dips, I'm long-term bullish on Bitcoin. So maybe I'll actually get in there and actually buy some. Same with Ethereum. So yeah, that's just anyone have any questions, comments, concerns about the market, or any just random ass questions they want to ask?
I want to mention my Bitcoin price target for this dip. I think it's going to
Yes.
go down and rebound up on 40,000, just based on the chart and where the support's lying. I just don't see any catalyst as to why Bitcoin would be dipping, unless somebody has some insider information of Grayscale maybe selling their positions, which makes no sense.
No, I don't. They're not. They have all those
Exactly.
options set up, and no, I think they're here to stay.
And I also wanted to mention too, somebody that people suspect Kathy Wood of buying 200,000 shares of Tesla Friday, and that's an investment in Bitcoin in my eyes too.
She did. No, she did. I think it was like 243,000 shares of Bitcoin, or not Bitcoin, but Tesla. I think it's what the number was. Like she dropped some cash on Tesla, which just reaffirms how bullish she is on the company.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, since Tesla used 6% of their cash flow to invest in Bitcoin, that investment's sort of another investment into Bitcoin. So if you would be betting against Kathy Wood if you were to think we're going to keep going down. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we retrace down to 20,000. We have never traded sideways at any of the levels that we've hit for Bitcoin since the 19,000 levels. And so that's just always a target that I have drawn on my charts, but I don't suspect it to go down there. But it's not out of the question though.
I mean, if Bitcoin drops to 20,000, I might have to buy a few. I mean, just saying, I'm long-term bullish on this. I really do think that Bitcoin will reach 100K at some point. I do think they are the gold of the digital currencies, and I do believe that that a lot more companies are going to start using Bitcoin as a commodity, as a source of where they put their asset or their money. Kathy Wood said, she's like the self-fulfilling prophecy. She's a prophet. She said that Tesla's going to this, they went to that. I mean, she's on the forefront of a lot of things, and her comments on what's going on right now in the market are pretty interesting. But she's still buying. So I mean, at the end of the day, she's still buying. I'm still buying. I think she's almost like an insider buyer. You can just follow her buying and seeing other institutions or retail following her lead. And right now they're the hot hand. I mean, all of their ETFs have been doing pretty well. I even found a new one that I really like. It's an Israeli electronics one. So like Re Automotive, which I will mention in a little bit, is in it, and Foresight's in it. Part of Intel's in it because they have Mobileye, and so there's a lot of really amazing AI companies coming out of Israel. I don't know why Israel, but they have ARC started their own ETF for just Israeli tech companies. And like that's something that really interests me just because I have researched a lot of these companies. So I'm big time on what Kathy's got to say, and if she thinks if we're long on this market, then I'm long too. Hey, look, Gator showed up. What's up, buddy?
There don't play no shit.
No, he's not. He's just listening. Come on, Gator. There he is.
No, I'm here, boys. Come on, I'm here.
What's up, buddy?
Dad
Hawk's in the
has
house
arrived.
too.
Yeah, I do see you, Hawk. I do see you as well. I was gonna go to you next, buddy.
How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I just trying to sort out this new computer and get this new format going, and getting better every day, getting better every week.
I like it, man. Yeah, with the Bitcoin stuff, I just, it's run really hot. So it's just, to me, it's a little bit of froth off the top. I had a floor of around 40,500 to 42 and a bounce up, back up to maybe 65 to 71, next leg up. So I just think it's, things need to cool off. Nothing goes straight up, and
It's true.
It's going to bounce back. I'm really bullish on it still.
So I got a question for you. So would you say that there's more market confidence in Bitcoin than there is the actual stock market right now?
I would say right now, yeah, but I think it's turning right now with, the vaccinations and the stimulus check. I think last week was tough, but like I said, everything needs to get a little froth off the top. And, I'm bullish on Bitcoin. I'm bullish on the market. We're still in a bull trend. So I like both still. That's a tough question for me though.
Yeah, I just feel like that
I'm in a little bit of both, right? So
yeah,
I have a little bit of Bitcoin. I have Bitcoin sentiment plays, some miners, but I also played NASDAQ and OTC. So, but I really liked your discussion on covered calls and stuff.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I just don't think enough
it's
people talk
helpful.
about it. I don't think enough people talk about it.
It's a smart play. And a lot of people right now, a lot of new traders are looking for that, 1,000% runner like you're talking about, right? You're not always going to get that, and I think you need to come down to earth a little bit and look at daily gains in the 2 to 5% like you're talking about, and
right.
consider that a home run, right? Come back to reality.
We're not beating the market.
Small gains over a long period of time are home runs, guys. That's something to consider. Absolutely.
I agree 110%. I mean, we're not out here trying to beat the market. We're not trying to beat Wall Street. They're going to beat us. But we have certain flexibility and different things we can do with our own money to, at the end of the day, make more money for ourselves than we would if we went to a financial advisor. But, these guys are pros, and so to take a look at what they're doing and, following along, trying to get as many resources as we can off them. There's a guy who used to work in Wall Street who's now a content creator that I've met through TikTok of all places. I'm working on getting a date set up with him to come in here, and his TikTok is like Ask a Hedge Fund Manager, and super intelligent guy. The amount of data and just information he gives is just amazing. And I think he would also be a really cool Q&A where we can just throw questions at him of what it really is, what is it like to be on Wall Street, and how far off are we, how dumb are we, are we just dumb, or or are we actually on the right track when it comes to what we're doing here.
I think a lot of us are dumb, that we jumped into the market. Some of us, late November, early January, when everything, you could throw a dart at a ticker and it would fly, right? So
that was what it was like in April.
People's perceptions are a little bit off. You know, they jumped in and everything's green, and then we have a red week and a half, and everyone freaks out, right? They're like, I'm out, you know, and everyone bails and jumps on these meme stocks and everything like that. So, I mean, you're going to get to a point when the market normalizes a little bit, and you have to be complacent with those small gains over a long period of time. That's the game plan, guys.
Right, and if we do get a slow market, I mean that's exactly what like iron condors and stuff like that, which is like more of an advanced option move that maybe we'll try to talk about, but it's like it's kind of advanced. It's like buying and selling a call and holding shares, and it's way too complicated just to talk to over live stream. But maybe I can make a good example. Maybe do one and show you how I did. Because I mean, there are ways to make money in a stagnant market as long as you hold equity. You carry very little risk, but you can still make income. So,
yeah, I think I jumped on a couple of weeks back and was like, I was a more risky trader a couple weeks back because the market provided that opportunity for me. And then, over this last couple weeks, I've scaled it in a little bit and
that's great comment.
taking more cash and, been really more strategic about my plays. So you have to play the market as it gives itself to you, as it provides itself to you. You have to change your strategies as the market changes, in my opinion. So that's what I've done. And it's worked out.
Yeah, like
myself
this week,
SQQQ, calls and stuff like that, just as hedges. So,
yeah, I agree 100%, and that's why I scaled back all my swings. Like I still have one outstanding swing, and that's alternate systems, and I'm gonna hold it. I'm just gonna bag hold it. I haven't bag holded something in a while, so if it'll take a couple months. It'll take a couple months. But yeah, I scaled back to all longs, and I was gonna play some VIX calls on the UX, but I was too late when I thought of it. I was like, "Ooh, I should do that," and then they already ran like 600%. So I was like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna jump in." So maybe this week we'll get another opportunity. I'm not sure. I Hawk, what do you think about this week coming forward?
I'm bullish.
You're bullish?
I'm bullish. I think it's gonna be still volatile, for sure. But I think if you find the right place, you're gonna be able to hit it, right. It's gonna be another volatile week, guys. I just feel it, with the 10-year rates and all that stuff. There's some bombing in Syria going on, so oil might slightly still be bullish. But I'm still kind of playing not the all-in type of perspective. I'm being more conservative about my plays right now. So it's still a volatile environment.
Yeah, I think we get a rebound week. I do. I think we're gonna see some good gains, but I don't think we're gonna see crazy gains. Hopefully it's not just a bull trap like we got. I think it was end of day Thursday where everything went up like 5-6% in the after hours and then just dumped on us again in the morning. That's always fun. I have a generally
market right now. It offers a lot of good discounts, guys, on a lot of premium stocks, and I'm happy to put some of my opinion out there on some blue chip undervalued stuff.
Absolutely.
Right now. That's why a couple weeks back, I think we all were killing it. I scaled back and went a lot to the cash, and I was expecting a pullback. And right now is a great time for value buys, I think, and just scale into them, right? You might get into it. It might go down, scale into it again, right?
Absolutely. And you can no better way to scale in than with buying the right covered calls.
Absolutely.
Yeah, actually I wanted to talk about like SPACs that were on sale in the next little piece, but I wanted to touch on CCIV and the debacle that was this week. I'm sure Gator's got some comments about that.
Survive.
What was that?
Yeah, I mean, CCIV is just I mean, if you didn't buy in around $10, I mean, you're kind of just kind of fucked for about 5 years.
I don't know about that, but I don't know about 5 years. I do think that CCIV will be an overweight for its entire like existence.
Yeah, I mean, you and me talked about. I mean, long term, there's no way you can't be bullish on it. I mean, realistically, everything about it is fucking pretty solid. I mean, short term right now. I mean, I pray for the people that bought calls at like 60 and $80, or you bought around 60. But I mean, that's just one of those stocks that you're just going to have to hold on to and just bury deep in your portfolio and not look at for a bit. But I don't see anybody taking a loss on that long term in any way.
I mean, again, we could go back to covered calls. You could just hold and sell covered calls. But in all seriousness, like, yeah, I agree. There's nothing you can say that's really bad about Lucid. I mean, you could say that, oh, they only offer one car. Okay, yeah, that's fine, but they have more in the pipeline. They're not Tesla, and you're right, they're not Tesla. I love this slide, and the reason I brought it up: innovative but not luxury Tesla. So such a good little troll that they made. But like, I mean, look at this executive team. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Tesla, ex-Tesla people on this board or on the team of executives, and then Audi, Rivian, Volkswagen. Like, this is an all-star team. This is the 1998 dream team. Like MJ, Scottie Pippen, Magic Johnson, they're all on this team, and they're making a great car. And people just got a little ahead of themselves. And depending on what your average is, which if you followed my alert from when I alerted it here at $12, you should be fine. I mean, like Gator said, you should be fine. But if you chased at like 40 or 50 and you're wondering when it's going to come back to 40 or 50, that I don't know. Because, I mean, even at its current rate, which I did the pro forma evaluation right now, it's at almost $50 billion, which is almost double what they put out in their investor slides. But a lot of investors learned what pro forma evaluation is this week, and how, CCIV, pipe investors, and then I would assume primarily the Saudis and other series funding, made up this pro forma ownership. Only 16.1% of CCIV only 16.1% of Lucid is CCIV shareholders currently. So just to how I did that was by taking that 16.1% and taking the market cap of CCIV and multiplying it, actually dividing it. See right here. So the $7.96 billion market cap, excuse me, of CCIV, divided by that equals the current evaluation based on that. So I think we're going to see a little bit of downside to CCIV, with the market being uncertain and stuff like that. I think we're going to see some more people jump off. It might be a good time to start a position, especially if it gets to like the low 20s, because I do see this as a $40-$50 stock end of year, depending on how the market does. But I linked the investor slides for those who are either listening offline or want to go back through this, because I just grabbed a few. But like, see, here's their other cars, which they're just the different variations of the Air, so different trims, as well as in 2023 they're coming out with the Gravity, which is like a SUV, I guess, and then they got stuff further planned out. And this is also something that I did not investigate enough into, is that Lucid is a part of Electrify America. I did not know that, so that would be ChargePoint and electric, because they're partnered, they might fall in line with them as well. That's a huge infrastructure as well. So then you always got to know who the partners are and what infrastructure they have when it comes to like a new disruptive industry. I mean, you could make 1 million of these cars, but there's nothing to charge them. you got nothing. So just wanted to touch CCIV because we do see, pro formas quite a bit, honestly. And just the debacle, the pure chaos that was this week. And if you got caught up in it, I'm sorry I'm being lighthearted about it, but it sucks. But always know. But I wanted to talk about some SPACs that were on sale this week. This SPAC Hero, always giving the goods. I love this website.
Hey, Rick.
Yeah.
Do you notice that that's kind of standard for how SPACs act in general? Is that there's a run up to the merger, and then at the merger, there's a pretty, I mean, not as drastic as a drop off as CCIV had, but just in general.
Yeah, I do.
Kind of notice that. It gets hyped up to the merger date, and then there's a drop off, and it offers a good buying opportunity.
Absolutely. And if you get lucky, like with Fisker, Fisker was at like $8 post.
Yeah, I got that one at 9.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah. And then it like went 20 plus, and now it's doing pretty good. I mean, I think they're finally pulling stuff together. But yeah, no, the big days for SPACs are pre-merger. If you own pre-merger, and there's an LOI or a letter of intent or a DA signed, you're gonna get some good gains. And then also there's always like another level up, and then it starts to trickle down. And it starts to trickle down like towards the merger, and sometimes you get those dip and rips that are really nice. But these are all DAs, so these are all not all of them are like binding. But I wanted to highlight a few, and I know like Gator's very big on Proterra, which is AESE, right?
ACTC, yeah. I was going to talk about. Yeah,
go for it.
They are a powerhouse, man. In my opinion, I mean, like with that contract that they just got in Maryland, I mean, that is a company that I see getting so many contracts in the United States, especially over these next 4 years, as long as Joe Biden's still in office and the ties that he has to them. I can't speak enough. And Charmath's in them too. He's invested in them too. I mean, that is under the radar powerhouse, in my opinion, that I still don't see too many people talking about. And that's something I suggest a lot of people keep their eye on. I remember before they, came out saying that they're bringing Proterra out. I mean, I was pushing it heavy. I know, Rick, I was. And
yeah, you were.
That is one stock that I am still holding on to. I didn't sell when it spiked all the way up to almost $30. I'm still holding on to it. I still have my average. That is something that within the next 4 years, probably sooner, but while Joe Biden's in office, that thing is going to be moving.
I agree. And you didn't even mention Granholm. I mean, Granholm's on the board, and she's also the energy secretary under Biden.
Yep.
So,
see, Rick, this is why I keep you around, man.
She used to be my governor. She used to be the Michigan governor, so that's why I know her name.
Yeah, I was gonna say I knew that, Rick, too, for my Michigan ties.
Yeah, Jennifer Grandmole is what we all called her. Some middle school humor. But no, I also am very bullish on them, and I think that its current price of $20 or $20.96 is a really good opportunity to buy back in or take an additional entry on Proterra. I mean, government contracts, that's what they're going to be about. I mean, they have school buses, they have regular buses. They work, I believe, with Wave. There's some rumor of Wave wireless charging being involved. I don't know. So don't take that as a 100% Rick word. I would have to look into that. And but they had also Tesla alum. They have multiple manufacturing locations on the West and East Coast. Ties with Daimler. So Mercedes and Freightliner is like who they make their or who makes their chassis. So like all good partners to have. Tesla, Granholm, you can't beat it. You really can't. I really like them long term, and they're definitely on the top of my list of SPACs that I may enter this next week because I am sitting on some cash. I'm just so like we talked about earlier with Hawk is is this the bottom for a little bit? So, but I like them a lot, and then I also wanted to highlight a few others. Primarily VCVC, which is automotive. They make the skateboard platforms, which if I go down here, so they make these things. They make these smart manufactured drivetrains. I mean, their team's also got great talent. Arrival, Tesla, Fisker. Out of Israel, like I said earlier, and someone just posted in the Team Talk chat. Actually, this is amazing. Israel and the people of Israel, Jewish descent, own the most Nobel prizes in the world. In my mind, civilization started there or close there. I think that all translates, and I agree. I totally agree. I mean, so this company has a $3.6 billion valuation. The pipe isn't crazy. I think, let me see, where is it? It says 300 million in pipe, 201 million in cash, 3.1 billion based on projections over the next 5 years. But I don't know of many partnerships they have other than the ones that are here. But it's a really great way to manufacture things. It's a vertical system, and it's very flexible. Just like when Fisker was trying to deal with Volkswagen, and they were trying to figure out if they were going to do the skateboard platform with them. And there was a lot of uncertainty. And now they're going with Magna or whatever. But this is what they make. They just make these, and you can just build around it. And like the technology's there, and right now they're only $11. Like, where's the chart? I put the chart in here for a reason. On the announcement right here, the announcement, it went all the way up to 16 and some change. We're back down to $11. We're back down to pre-merger price almost, or pre announcement price. I'm bullish. I'm very bullish on this company. Ever since they were on my radar a couple months ago. I know Ivan and I talked about VCVC very briefly, privately, and like I told him how bullish I was on them, and now that they're a ticker, and they're going forward public. I think this investor slides is something that people should really go through. Yeah, there's nothing more to say than bullish. I mean, they work with Workhorse, Goodyear, Bosch, Amazon, Maga Systems. So there you go, right there. That's Fisker right there. So they're gonna make Fisker's platform. So Nikola, Hylon, all these huge companies. They're all in pre-revenue stages right now, so they're still working on getting everything up and going. But long term, like this company is going to be making some of the most critical pieces of EV, and like how Sirens and I have talked back and forth about how copper and electrical and everything goes into these new platforms. That's what this is. This is the basis of what a lot of these major companies are going to be using. So it's not a flashy brand name that you put an emblem on and sell at a dealership, but it's a huge OEM supplier potentially. And I don't think enough people are talking about them. So I like them. So if anyone knows anything about RE and has like some fun fact they want to state, or if not, I'm going to move to the next one. But just go through these things. I think it's awesome. The other one was Beachbody. There's been a lot of talk about Beachbody. They have a lot of celebrity endorsers, like Shaquille O'Neal, LeBron James. They're all a part of it. And this slide in particular is what hooked me is right here. Is they want to use digital subscriptions like Disney, Spotify, and Netflix. But they also want to connect to like companies like Peloton. It's just a lot of revenue and a lot of really big names. I mean, like Chewy, Planet Fitness, Fresh Pet. Like these are all points of where they're trying to make money. And Beachbody has got a good product. I mean, Beachbody is who came out with P90X. Beachbody has been around for a while, and they make a lot of people use their products. And now that they're going public, and I did not know anything about digital subscription platforms and what they were doing. I mean, COVID's made me a little soft, so I haven't been working out as much. So I don't necessarily know everything about them, but again, went up big. Like so many Fin Twitters started talking about them. Oh, they're the next big thing. And then we had this down week. And I think I put the chart in here as well, but if not, I will look up the price. But it's again down. Like it's crazy good buying opportunity. Yeah, here like look at these are the people they work with. Like these are all huge names. These are all huge in terms of market caps. I mean, Spotify, Netflix, Disney, Peloton alone. I mean, they've all had great COVID times, and even if we are still under a lockdown, their digital subscriptions will pay money if they're connected to Peloton. I mean, Peloton has gone crazy. I to the point where I don't understand it, and unless someone has a Peloton and they can like tell me why it's so amazing, I just don't get it. But the numbers are great. Like they do have a lot of customers. So Beachbody is just, I think 2 weeks ago, maybe a week ago, they announced they were going under the ticker FRX. So just another one of those that I wanted to bring to your attention. And I really encourage you to go through some of the slide content. And let's see, the pro forma evaluation on this is in here somewhere. Revenue right here. Yep. Okay. So 550 with a $2.9 billion enterprise value. So they are retaining. So existing shareholders to hold 84% of the pro forma business. So FRX is only doing math in my head. Hold on. 16%. So it's the same as CCIV. Definitely something that I'm keeping in mind for Monday morning, even for like a quick bounce swing, because I don't think the people are going to, I mean, even use the psychological of factors of FinTwit. So many people were, pumping this up, thinking it was the next big thing. I don't know how many people requested me to like, give my opinion on this, and I'm giving it to you guys right now. I think it's a good buy, especially at the I think $12 range right now. Hold on, let me look it up right now. Just give me 1 second. Don't do that. There we go. Price. Yeah, it's $12.67. So another good buy opportunity in my. And back to the slides. Got too far. Okay. So there was a couple other ones that I wanted to highlight as well. There is this is a big question mark. So if anyone knows anything about these guys, I would really like to would love for people to voice their opinions. But where'd it go? Sorry. RSVA. They're an EV manufacturer with solar and AI built in. So they do, or lithium battery, excuse me. So it's just another this one was did well during this last week because I think they just announced the merger this week. But it's another one of those infrastructure plays. Leadership, is pretty decent. Bloom Energy is a big name. Enphase is a big name. So another one that's put on my radar. I'll probably put out more information on that. FIII, Foreign Merger, if you didn't know, was the company that brought Tattoo Chef public, and now they're taking Electric Last Mile, which is a delivery company public. What I like about them is that they are basically down to $10. They're back to the original IPO price. Another EV manufacturer, I know they use they're in Europe a lot. They are in a consortium with FRSX for autonomous driving in Europe. It's like the Horizon consortium, I believe it's what it's called. And so last mile delivery is something that we're going to start to see a big turnover here in the next 5 years, with autonomous and EV coming into play, and we see big names like Arrival, NGAC. They already have contracts with UPS and other big names, but this one is a good swing in my opinion. I mean, they are so low to that $10 price, which that gives me such good hope on limited downside. So that's another reason why I'm highlighting this one. Right. Yep, there's NGAC again. Also, again, down to that $10.78 range. But I mean, their trucks. They have a deal with UPS. That's only bullish in my opinion. Their leadership, has really good experience. I mean, Delta, Air France, Virgin Galactic. Those are all nice companies. Especially a director at Delta Airlines. I mean, it's a big fish if I've ever heard of one. Proterra, like what me and Gator talked about earlier. So SPAC Hero, man, I can't say enough good things about them. They keep adding more and more features. You get real-time charting in there. You got SEC files in there. He's even putting in warrant dates, like when warrants become available. Like VTIQ's warrants become available very soon. I thought it was going to be Friday, but it might be Monday now. But VTIQ is another one of those companies that I mentioned earlier this week about the rumor of them merging with Too Simple. But then Too Simple came out and said they were going to go the general IPO route, which really had me thinking, like, what's up with their board? Because their board has, all these investors in Too Simple on it. So what does that mean? Are they going to rearrange the board? Because maybe that was the original target. Or maybe they have another person in mind, maybe a manufacturer, I don't know. But VTIQ was the people who brought us Nikola. They have Steven Gursky as the head, who, if anyone knows about Steven, he was the executive from GM that basically they survived when they fell. And I think it was 2008. And they needed a restructure, and all those government buyouts and stuff happened. He was at the helm of GM at that time, and he's very, very well respected. I know his reputation got a little messed up with the whole Trevor Milton Nikola thing, but the money's there. I don't think any different of the guy, and I'm thinking VTIQ is going to have a really good name attached to whoever they decide to merge with. And I originally, it seemed like it was stupid if it wasn't Too Simple, just based on the board members. But information changes all the time. But I also noticed, is Rocket Man, you there, buddy?
He was here earlier, but
Yeah, he must have dropped
stepped
out. Yeah, he's got a couple specs that he covers. The hyperfacial and PaySafe. PaySafe is also down pretty big right now. Which is they're saying is like the PayPal blockchain PayPal, which PayPal is now crypto, and they're starting to do some of these things. But he's really bullish on PaySafe, and obviously he dropped out, so he has to. We'll try to get him to talk about it next week. Yeah. So SPACs on sale, in my opinion. Hey, Hawk, what do you got on your radar? Or did he drop out too? Yeah, he did drop. All right, I guess it's just me. Gator, you got anything?
Hey, what's up? I got nothing right now. I'm not really. Actually, I got one thing. If you guys, I'll put you on. I think I might have touched on it last week. So I've been playing a wicked low float stock, man. ELTK. It just fluctuates like I mean, it's like it's its job, man. The thing goes between 10 and 15%. The float on it is 1 million. It's so low.
Jeez.
It's incredible.
That's incredibly low.
Yeah, ELTK.
ELT.
All the stuff I've looked up on them, it's basically it's 50-50. I mean, there's some good things, there's some bad things. It's just basically something I've just been swinging and turning for profit. I mean, right now, I was talking to Tyrone about it. I mean, the chart's pretty bottomed out right now, and I mean, it ran up to over $8 a share not that long ago, and then I think it was on Friday. It ran up. It was down 4%, and then ran up. It went up to like 15 or something. It went from like 520 to like 640 or something like that.
What do they do?
They make like computer chips.
Gotcha. What? Oh, give me the ticker one last time.
ELTK. Sorry, I'm driving while I went out to go grab some food, so I can't really.
You're good. Yeah, they're at $5.98. Yeah, their market cap is only $26.19 million, according to Google. That is microscopic. That is a small ass company.
Oh, it's tiny. It's based out of Israel.
Today's podcast was brought to you by Israel Technology.
Literally, man, they got it going on over there.
They do. They really do. I like them. Yeah, so let's see. The highs was about $8 and it has been jumping around. Yeah. All right. That's worth looking at for sure. It's I'm just looking at the chart right now. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna look into this. I'll report back. Very interesting because that could move really fast if they've got news coming.
Exactly, and I've just been swinging it like I don't know, probably the past week. Other than when it dipped really bad, well, like when everything did. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely something to keep an eye on. The float is just—it's stupid.
Yeah. Just like Ideal Power.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Sometimes it has to be it's a setup. It's just it doesn't have to be any rhyme or reason other than the setup, and that's why technicals work. That's how these guys make those money.
That's why I said it's like a 50-50 with this thing. I mean, there's some good, there's some bad, but I mean, mostly I'm just playing the float on it and the market cap. I mean, literally anything can make this move.
Yeah, right. I'm looking at their financials right now. I mean, they have wow. I don't know where that's coming from. What was that? That was an ad.
I don't know.
Finviz.
I thought that was like a victory song. I thought that was like the radio station and something good happens.
That That was
That
Fin.
was so loud, Rick.
I know. I'm sorry, everyone. So I guess that voice app makes it where
Wow.
yeah, that was a ad on FinViz that did that. Sorry, guys. That was
I'm buying 10 grand. I'm buying 10 grand on Monday. That was fucking electric.
All charts should be presented that way.
Wow. But anyways, what I was gonna say is looking at the block on FinViz. I mean, they have some more sales than their market cap. They have positive income. The price to book, sales, everything is green. It looks great. Price to earnings is good. EPS forward looks good. They're up in every category but last week. They were down 6%. Short float, their short is nothing shorted. I mean, 4.38 million shares outstanding is what it calls for here. That's nothing. Wow. See here. This is their last PR as of the 18th. So they're a global manufacturer, supplier of technological advanced solutions in the field of printed circuit boards. Okay, so they make. Oh, okay. One of their main producers is for DuPont, which is huge. Jeff Gordon, DuPont. Remember 24? That's how I remember things. But yeah, all right. Well, I'm gonna definitely look into this, and maybe next week we do a nice little spotlight on them. But I think I want to talk about this week's, which is Bork's Technology. It's a very interesting play. They're a Chinese company, so take that as you will. I've seen a lot of really positive stuff about them, just in sentiment wise, when it comes to the Twitter world. But they have a pretty small market cap of only $70 million. They're in the IoT 5G. They're actually in a lot of spaces when it comes to what they do as a technology company. Very disruptive, So what I really want to highlight here is that it was at $3 at its peak before this red week happened. And this week, on good news, they converted all of their debt to notes, so they have no debt on their books anymore. They got rid of all their senior debt. So that looks really great for the books. It was $20 million. They're due in 2 years at an 8% rate. Here's their FinViz block that I was just looking at on the other one ticker. $80 million in sales. Income obviously needs to improve big time. But their EPS forward looks good. Their returns on equity and an investment aren't bad. But they had a shit week. Like after all of that bullishness and maybe it was just all pump. They were down 34% this week. Which to me is an overcorrection. Yeah, overcorrection is the word I want to use. So it fell more than its peers. It fell not on bad news. It fell on just the market. Not too high in the shorts. Relatively low float. This is the swing trading bot. This is an aid that I use all the time. It is amazing. It really is. It's free. You can get the intraday for $20. I just use the free, but it catalogs and every technical alert that it does. Like it is bearish on the 20-day DMA resistance, and it's a really nice. It gives it a nice grade. And like A charts do perform like A charts, and D charts do perform like D charts. I believe this has a C grade. You can actually look at the history as well of those grades. I should have provided those, but on the short term it's down, but the intermediate and long term it is still bullish. And then friend of the server, Ferocious Ed, which if you don't follow Ferocious Ed, he is a great DDer. He does really good technical analysis and really good overviews. on these plays, or on what he does, and he actually takes requests mostly. So he does what the people wants, a man for the people. It's like a 5-minute video. It's really informative. Definitely worth checking out. But what do they do? I mean, they work in machine to machine. They do infrastructure to vehicle to infrastructure for autonomous driving. So basically, that's the 5G signals from cameras or any sort of sensors that will ping to a car, and then it'll ping back. They do smart city stuff. They do a virtual mobile operator, which means like they use the 5G waves or Wi-Fi waves to promote phone calls and stuff like that. They do smart fridges and other appliances, smart watches for children. That's like their biggest thing that they had going. But at the end of the day, they're just a connectivity company. They connect things to other things. They work with the Android market, not the iOS market. But they have some really interesting partnerships, like their partnerships with like chips. I mean, you got all the people you want to see here. The organizations, Android, Firefox, those are some nice names. WAC is a really big name. But then the terminals that they work with, I mean, we got our friends Sonam Technologies here. You got, Huawei, which is, it's a double-edged sword with Huawei. Huawei is, banned in America, but it basically duplicated everything that we ever made with Apple. They're huge technology companies worth billions of dollars. But all these names are the names you want to see. Like they have services with AT&T, Verizon, Vodafone, Sprint, Amazon. I mean, that's great. These three right here of China Mobile, Telecom, and Unicorn. China Mobile was one of the ones that one of the tickers that Trump tried or is taking off the market. But at the end of the day, they have some great ties. They're in the right industry. They're in a disruptive technology. They're currently down, and from what I can tell, down a little bit more than they should be. There's definitely some question marks when it comes to their products, when it comes to converting on sales and getting good revenue streams up. Something they don't have really yet. But they're an early stage development company. Has been around a while, and there's some good sentiment on the market. Whether that's all pump or not, I don't know. But this could be a really good swing opportunity to see if it jumps right back up into that $2 range. Take your profits and leave. It's a nice little 25%. But yeah, I just think I'm probably going to be buying some of this on Monday. To be honest, I just don't see why it would drop 35% after they eliminated all of their debt over the past month. I mean, this isn't just the only one. They also got rid of like $14 other million. In another PR that was like a week previously, they have a outstanding contract with a manufacturer in China. Ed goes into it pretty in depth in this video. It just seems like this is a very bullish time to buy them. I'm not necessarily market sentiment wise, but bullish in the fact that it's one of those disrupting technologies. So I just wanted to highlight Borks, and now the week ahead. So I put on here on the right side, this is my current watch list, I guess you could say. Not including the ones that I talked about today. These were the ones coming into today. I mean, I did add Borks, I guess. But Sol, still really bullish on Sol. I mean, it was just at like $35 not too long ago. Definitely got overinflated, but they have really bullish stuff coming out of this company. They are finishing up their second factory in France. They have municipal deals with Poland, and Australia, and a couple other countries in Europe for solar. They get all their panels from China, or they're a distributor, I guess you could say. But okay earnings, last earnings wasn't great, but there was a huge dump afterwards because people, I guess, were expecting more. But I really do think long-term Seoul is a great place to put my money. Neo's down below $50. I think that anytime Neo's below $50, it's a good buy. I like XPeng. I think I like Neo a little bit more than I like XPeng, especially at the current prices. But if XPeng gets to, or XPEV, or whatever you want to call them, gets below 30, I think that'd be a really good buying opportunity. And then Borks, I put them. So these are my longs. You all know that. My current swing. Viper. Let's take a second to talk about Viper. I know there's some people asking about it. I wanted to bring up that in the chats, they tweeted, excuse me. They tweeted about some contract in LA. Chat right now. And then someone on Twitter found a post and posted it saying like, "Oh, here they are," but that's not the case. That is Viper Image, and Viper Image is a part of FLIR, which is one of the largest thermal camera companies in the world, and they're the ones actually partnered with Foresight for their quad sight cameras. So Foresight's cameras are FLIR. They use their technology, their AI. So I just wanted to make a note, so it's on the record that people know that is not accurate. And so that brings up even more red flags for me in my brain. Why, when we've seen the CEO, Fareed, talk to people on Twitter and like correct them and add comments or answer questions, he didn't say anything to that. So I don't like that. Like, it's okay to like say, "Yep, that's right, that's bullish," but like when false information is put in front of you and you don't refute it as a CEO, that just sounds crooked to me. I mean, just in a general sense. You see it with more than just people like Viper, but for a company that I just want you to be real. I want you to be who you say you are and have the contracts and the revenue that you say you will. That doesn't help your cause, in my mind. There's plenty of other people that are still looking at this. I know there's a few people that are still in it. And just like I said in the chat, that Viper is a toxic X. You want to move on, but you keep looking. And I'm still looking, and I think that they will get current. And I think there's going to be some nice gains to be had with that. Right now, there's still only a limited amount of platforms that offer Viper to buy on the exchange. So, even with that, just playing that psychological, like, you have early bird tickets to the Viper show, per se, and you can just sell at profits when the numbers are announced. What their SEC filings are going to look like, or what their financial filings are going to look like, is a complete, huge, utter, I don't know, question mark. It could either be like extremely bad or, okay, in my opinion. I don't think it's going to be great. I don't think they're going to all of a sudden post billions of dollars onto their balance sheet, showing all of this crazy revenue. But could they have a lot of debt? Maybe. Could they? They've seemed to be only been doing test pilots. They've only been prototyping their stuff. And then also, if you look in the chat, one of our members put out their email with Fareed about the IP of what their IP is. Basically, it says like we're just what they've always said about the company espionage, and they don't trust people, and that they've been screwed over before. And so right here, they've been doing lights for almost 9 years, Wi-Fi camera, whatever. So it's just a little bit of the same. So I don't. I still have them hugely on watch just because of the potential involved in what they're doing is awesome. But there are other companies doing it. They're not alone, and being able to. I mean, I think at the beginning we were all hippy dippy going crazy about 73 million polls worldwide. I don't see how that happens right now. I mean, could it? Sure, but there's enough people in this space. I mean, even like Bork's Technologies, like I just kind of highlighted, they're kind of in this space when it comes to the infrastructure and how the 5G internet and the networks talk with other other things, the IoT. But I just don't. I still think they're just trying to paint a great, beautiful picture for us to look at, and not necessarily what the true state is. I mean, they're trying to get investors involved, which I get, but I'm trying to be smarter than that. I'm okay with, waiting until after a filings are done, and I can see what they're actually worth. Because at like 10 cents, they're worth hundreds of millions of dollars, which that's half of what IDEX is worth. That's about what Foresight Automotive is worth, and these guys are, in my opinion, farther along. I've seen their product, or they've won awards for their product. They have big names attached to their products. Viper, not so much. I want to buy, I want to believe, but I'm still holding off. On March 4th, we got the IDEX Wave Conference. I don't believe it's a free to view. I think you have to actually buy a ticket. I'll look into that further because if I could stream it here in the server, I will. But it'll be interesting to see that BYD's on the board, on that panel board. So Wave, BYD, IDEX, and I think Roth Capital are the people discussing things. That's really interesting, just based on partnerships and stuff like that. I don't know if we're going to see an announcement or a PR, or about due for one, you'd think. But to my knowledge, I'm just going to take it as another day at the office, another conference, and hope that I get a surprise. Still not selling, not bullish as all can be, but I think Earth Day is going to be where I put most of my focus, and and earnings. I don't expect earnings to be great, but I hope they're going to have no debt on their books anymore. They eliminated that, and they should have like $350 or $350 million cash on hand, which will look nice. But when it comes to revenue, the big thing I'm going to be looking at is cost of revenue, to see how much it has taken them to do what they have done. Because that's been like one of the biggest bearish question marks is like profit margins and operating costs of this technology, what they're doing. So that's the biggest thing I'm looking forward to, and that's at the end of March. We have the unemployment update on Thursday, and we get that every Thursday. I don't expect it to be any better. But just keep an eye out on that. I didn't see anything else in the economic calendar that was really worth mentioning. I get outside of if stimulus gets improved. But yeah, anyone have any questions, comments, concerns? All right, no. But Monday, we got Workhorse, which if you've been following Workhorse, they fell terribly because they didn't get the USPS contract. It was what everyone was banking on since the minute I've known about Workhorse. They're actually one of the options that I've gotten 1,000% returns on. There was the same week I got 1,000% returns on Neo. It was back in like the spring. Like, no, it was middle summer. But I'm going to be watching both Workhorse and Neo. Neo more specifically, just because they are down so much. They've been doing a lot of fundraising of money. They had Neo Day with all these cool shiny toys. it'll be really interesting to see where they are, and if they do fall on earnings, it could be a really, really good buying opportunity for Neo. And like I said earlier, with covered calls, get in at like $35. You can make some pretty good money on a covered call while you wait for them to rebound. And I am long-term bullish on Neo. They have too much backing from not even the Chinese government, but partners, and their product is just beautiful. Someone slipped a picture of a Neo with a United States license plate on it. So is Neo coming to America? And if so, where can I buy one? Because the ES6 and ES8 is just one of the most beautiful SUVs I've ever seen in my life. And I don't know, I've seen a lot of videos comparing Neo and Tesla, and a lot of people like Neo better. I mean, there are European guys that were doing this, but Neo seems to be the real deal, real product. They have good sales they're a little bit of an overweight for their sales, but if you compare it to Tesla in sales, they're doing all right. Yeah, and then Workhorse, like I said, they had a huge drop, and I don't expect this ER to be good. I mean, their last few have been terrible. So it could be a buying opportunity if that's something. I mean, they've gone from $42 to they could go below 10. Hypothetically, like I don't think they'll go to 40 anytime soon, but 15, 20, possibly a nice little swing. So that's what I'm looking at Monday morning when it comes to Monday for earnings. But there's some pretty decent sized names. Fubu TV's got had a lot of talk out of the Atlas server and other servers over Twitter. Huge short rate and a lot of drama involved. So I'll probably stick out of that, but looking at it for sure. Snowflake, that was an IPO that happened. That's big data. But then Vroom, Vroom's had done really well since they IPO'd. Costco, I mean, some of these, if you're into some big blue chips, there's some pretty decent opportunities to maybe get some falls or get some bad earnings, or playing Costco. I mean, Costco, I'm sure, is going to probably post pretty good earnings. It might be a nice little day trade, but it's just some ideas. And that's about it, man. That is today's talk. If anyone's got any just randomized questions they want to ask me, or anything that was talked about by anybody else who's spoken up, I just want to make this like an open, free time for us to chit chat, answer any server questions, any market questions, whatever. So, does anyone have any questions?
There's one thing I just wanted to bring up real quick. It's I don't know if Rocket Man's still in here or not, but
It's not.
yeah, but all those insider buys on AESE, man. I mean,
Yeah, it's
that
good.
is something I've been tracking because of Rocket Man, and I really am liking what I'm seeing. I just wanted to throw that out there before we wrap this up.
No, that's a really good point. I think they said 730% increase this quarter in investor buying, and tons of cash on hand.
Bananas.
Yeah, for sure. That might be a great one to pick up. I mean, I do have like 500 shares, I think. I don't have that much of it. But it could be a really good pickup. I mean, it is down a little bit. It actually held really well through this red.
Yeah, I'm actually very shocked. I mean, even right now, if people jumped into, I mean, my average is like 225 or something like that. And I thought that was a solid average. And then when I saw it dip back to near the twos, I was like, ugh. But I'm probably going to be blowing a bag on that on Monday, man, depending on if it goes crazy or not, or if if it goes past the average I have now, I'll probably leave it alone. But if it stays around $2, I'm going to be throwing a good chunk of cash at that on Monday.
Blowing a bag.
You know the vibes.
I've never heard of that, but I know what you mean. Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of long-term bullish sentiment to this, because I remember when I brought this up with Rocket Man, he was like, "Oh, I think it's a swing." But since then, we've had so much more and investment into this company from institutions.
Same. I was on the same exact page as you guys. I was just using it as a swing. I'm pretty sure Skip said the same exact thing, and
Yeah.
now it's like getting a little bit more real.
Yeah, it could be, you know, I don't know what they're doing. I mean, I do know what they're doing, and it is a market that is, you know, has tons of room ahead. You know, I think I've spoken to esports being huge worldwide. It's not necessarily in the United States. There's a lot of growth forecasted in that. But it seems like there's institutions getting behind it now, and you know, getting rid of the WPT, but still retaining like I think Recommend said 5% of whatever the profit is, you know, part of the deal, and they got you know $68 million cash money to be able to expand their business, to buy another you know arena or rent out an arena space or whatever, you know, because it's what they're doing in LA. It just opens up a lot of opportunities for them. And
That I agree. I mean, they're set up right now with the cash on hand and all these institutional buys. I mean, they just have their setup is perfect for them to do something. You know, I don't know what it could be, but they
yeah,
have something.
yeah, I agree. I agree. It may not be a couple of weeks. It may be a couple of months until we really hear out of them what their you know big plan is. But I don't really see much you know downside. I don't see this going below you know $1 anytime soon, or even $1.50. I think this is a good floor to get in around this low $2 range, and uh, maybe get lucky and get high ones, you know, based on what the market does. But you know, let's you know go forward 6 months, and I don't think this is a $2 stock 6 months from now. I think this could be a $5 to $10 stock.
That's what Rick, you do exactly what I do, man. I look down the line 6 months and I'm like, is this going to be in the same spot? And then I look up everything about it. And I'm like, I just don't see it happening. I see it going up a lot.
I agree. I don't know how parabolic it'll be, how quick it'll be, but I'm fine with slow gains. I wish I could sell covered calls, but they don't have options yet. But it's another one of the ones that you just want to accumulate, you know, as you can.
Yeah, but your PT, I agree with that. Between 5 and 10 is realistically what I was thinking too.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to look at you know what they're trying to do. I mean, I know what they are doing, and it's not you know COVID really dicked them over with like live
Yeah.
in-person stuff, which is fine, but obviously they've got the attentions of big money. And so obviously they're doing something right that maybe we just haven't identified yet, but follow the whales, you know? That's a really good philosophy when investing.
That's it, man.
So yeah, no, that's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up. Let me actually do a once over the server right now and see what I've missing. Oh, I wanted to bring up this week, probably Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday is probably a good day. I want to do a end all be all question and answer ideonomics chat where you can ask any question either offline, online. I'll make like a little like submit form, and I'm gonna go through every single one of my DDs that I've done on Substack and put it into this like new format where like each one and then bullet points and stuff like that. But then also answer everybody's questions to the best of my abilities, or give my assessment or my opinion, and put it all on the record one time for everybody. And so I want to do that like this week. And I think there's plenty of people on Twitter that will probably want to ask me some questions, because I get so many questions about it still daily, which is fine. I like it because it makes me learn if I don't know. But I think that'd be something that a lot of people here in the server could enjoy and ask questions and stuff like that. But at the same time, just get at every like I would love to do it for every single one of like my longs. Like I could do a day on Sonam systems, do a day on Circ, and we could just do that. I think that'd be a good way for people to be able to like introduce themselves to different tickers, especially within here, where like if you're a new member or you're like, oh, I don't know what this is. Oh, here's like a 45-minute discussion on it, and if we can make it entertaining enough, and I might try to get some, some special guests. Maybe I can get like Cam Stocks or, Y Trades to join me, and we can do a little Q&A. Maybe I'll get DD Bay to come in and be like, let's play, let's debate
That'd
it.
be awesome.
That would be amazing. It would be amazing. So if DD Bay hears this, you're invited. So it's just something I want to add, just as another way of, because I know sifting through a lot of these message chats can be like, where's my meat and potatoes? And like, if we do these discussions, and I've talked to some of the commanders about doing like just different subjects and different topics, where we just have like a conversation for like an hour, kind of like a podcast, and and answer questions related to the subject, and have people be able to listen in live and ask questions or listen to it offline. I think it's just another avenue for people to learn, observe, and then come back to us with questions. So I'm open to any ideas. I'm just trying to curate better content for you guys. And since it was such a red market this week, I didn't want to just pump air, like there was nothing to really talk about other than current events. So I hope people enjoyed today, got a good sense of some opportunities, learned a little bit more about covered calls, but I think I'm not going to leave that alone, and I'm going to continue until everyone in the server is selling covered calls, because I think it's just a dynamite way to make a little bit of money. So any final thoughts before we get off today? I hold the recording, so I will get it up pretty quickly. So you can expect to see that on the YouTube and today at some point. All right, guys. Thanks.
All right, have a good one.
Yep.